Alrighty, let's talk about Mercury Retrograde, the pre-shadow, the post-shadow, and all of that fun stuff from a real astrological point of view. And why people give it too much credence when there's other stuff going on in the sky. And this is how you can tell somebody isn't a great astrologer, is when their focus is on the Mercury Retrograde versus everything else going on in the sky. So as some of you know, especially those of you on Discord with me, I had a travesty happen. I hired a web design firm, a company that came highly recommended even to redesign my website, mostly clean it up because I have done it myself. I've been building websites since 2005. I'm more than competent. I'm great at the functional aspects. But, I'm not a visual person being, visually impaired. And so my design could use some cleanup, especially the page I send you to with all of the links. My buttons were crooked. I needed that cleaned up more than anything else. I said, hey, not so fond of the yellow on yellow. Could we do a little contrast with that? But if you did anything, just straighten the buttons for me. That'd be great. I was willing to pay good money for that because my buttons were crooked and I knew they were crooked. So yesterday, I was getting ready to send somebody to my link, and I go onto my website, and it's been redesigned all right. And holy mother of pearl, everything looked like crapola. First of all, I never got the design sent to me to approve. Second of all, I never got the terms of service. I never got anything I needed to get from them. I just made the agreement, just paid the firm. And this is an active website. This isn't something I'm getting ready to launch. It's actually how I send people to sign up for my services, including the listening to this podcast. And I had an utter and complete meltdown. I don't lose it very often. It takes a lot. But I have very little available time. Very little. I am a one-woman show with some help. And this was a little more than I could deal with. I absolutely lost my shit. I actually cried. I was so livid. Not because I couldn't fix the debacle that they had made, but that I had to. That I had to fix it. Because, again, it's been hot. I haven't been making videos. I haven't been marketing. And so how am I going to make this work when I have to go work on my website? So it was highly frustrating. You can tell I've calmed down because I was swearing like a sailor. If you were in Discord, you got an inkling of it. It was rather spectacular, my ire. My Sagittarius Mars was in full off with their heads. My Scorpio rising was trying to determine which way I could take them down at the knees because, again, it wasted my time. And they claimed somehow this was 5 hours worth of work. It took me 3 hours to fix, by the way. It took me 3 hours to fix. And so here I was going. Had to get that done. So, was it Mercury pre-shadow? I got asked on Discord. Luckily, I didn't get asked that until I'd calmed down. If I'd been asked that while I was still angry, I wouldn't have responded in a very nice way. Because no, it is not the pre-shadow period. There's no such thing as a Mercury pre-shadow. No such thing. What we happen to have that is screwing up tech and has been screwing up tech, and why I've been asked, is Mercury retrograde when Mercury hasn't been retrograde, is because our good friends Saturn and Jupiter are in Aquarius and they are retrograde. Aquarius rules technology. Aquarius rules technology and the internet. And so this is what I was stuck with. I was stuck with a screwed up website, and I had to fix it. Now, this is my natal third house. So for me, it does act a little bit like a Mercury retrograde. It's not. It has nothing to do with the pre-shadow. It has to do with Saturn retrograde and Jupiter retrograde in my transiting my third house. Now, for those of you new to astrology, you may not understand the difference between a natal chart and a transit planet. A natal chart is a static thing. It's you. You were born at a certain time, on a certain day, in a certain place, and your birth chart is like a photograph of that. Okay? It's a selfie. It's a celestial selfie. But the planets keep moving. And the cosmic tide keeps flowing. And that is what transits are. So when I write the rising sign horoscopes that you can get on my website or Patreon, when you get the rising sign horoscopes, those, my friends, show the transits. So I write the rising sign and a house, because you might have a rising sign at a late degree, like maybe 25 to 29 degrees, and then the rest of your first house might have one or two signs in it. So you can look at those other signs for that transit as well, because the quality of the energy kind of changes up. But anyway, so no, it wasn't Mercury retrograde. It wasn't that at all. So I got shit fixed, and I sent off about 10 emails to the account manager before and after I fixed the fucking site. And I'm also behind on everything because it's been freaking hot, So I'm behind on revenue. I'm behind on bookings. I'm behind. I am simply behind. And I'm not getting you guys the information I wanted to get you. So I was a little stressed out. And there was another reason for it. Stay tuned. You'll hear about that in the next part of the podcast. By the way, I'm going to give you some remedies for some of this stuff and how to understand how to work with that kind of big volatile energy, because I was doing something while I was losing my shit. I did something else to help rectify it. At the end of the day, it was pretty magical. And we'll talk about that too. Okay, so it's rare to knock me off my game anymore. It's rare for me to lose my temper. It's rare for me to raise my blood pressure. I kind of work on stay even at all costs. But yesterday was a phenomenally fucked up day. Mostly because I've been tired and stressed out all week because of the heat. So that's something you need to understand. If you want to stay at your higher levels of consciousness, there are some things that need to be met. Now, this is a little bit like Maslow's theory of making your basic needs work. One of those is not being overheated. So if you're physically uncomfortable, that's going to throw you off your game. If you're too hot, if you're hungry, if you're hangry, if you're thirsty, if you're working too much, if you're not sleeping enough, this throws you off your game. You are not going to be all love and freaking light when it's like 100 degrees in your room with the air conditioner working. You're just not. It's not going to happen. And you're human, and it's okay to lose your shit. Okay? And it's also okay to be angry when you don't have a lot of spare time and you have to go fix something you paid someone to fix for you. My reaction was pretty warranted. As one of my members said, what Chris said, well, that was an example of righteous anger. And it was. Because it looked like a 12-year-old did it. And even the astrological symbols they used were just god-awful. Like, there's nothing on my site that would say, hey, use that. There was nothing there that would say, hey, I have such impeccably bad taste. Please make it look awful. And so what I did throughout the day, I did what you could call cycling or bouncing. I bounced between just being absolutely ready to go do damage to somebody and reminding myself everything was going to work out. Soothing myself. And that soothing way, man, something good is coming. Something big is coming. Whenever I have things go tits up, I know something good is coming. And so just reminding myself of that. Because if I just would have stayed in the pissed offness, I wouldn't have been able to get anything rectified. Now, the thing is I found it in between sessions. And I found it, at the busy part of my day. My afternoons are taken up with readings. And I can only do so many readings a day. I did for a while kind of put in 8 hours of readings, but that's exhausting. It's a lot. It's a lot of mental and emotional energy, because I don't just read and tell you, oh, this is the placement in this house and this is this. You get an actual consultation. I explain you to you. I explained your individual nature to you. I explain house by house who you are and how that energy expresses for you at multiple levels. So this is how it works when we're in an instinctual consciousness, when you're ready to bop somebody in the nose. This is how it works when you're going about your day-to-day. This is your social cultural programming. This is what people told you how to believe, who you are. And this is who you actually are and who you're trying to get to be. And that's an extraordinary amount of work. It would be so easy to give you generic canned answers, which is what most astrologers do, because they're not actual astrologers. They're not consulting with you about you. Okay? So to find the stuff in the middle of my busy part of my day and no, I cannot send any traffic to my website when I'm on the weekend and that's my busy time, man, I was about to lose my shit. I was about to lose my shit. When I did, I lost it. Luckily, I had a nice break in between sessions, and I was able to process my emotions and remind myself, wow, everything's going to work out. How did I learn that technique? Well, I had this friend. Her name is Granny Annie. She's still my friend. We just don't talk very much because she's deaf. And we just don't have time. And she's 80. Actually, she'll be 82 this year. And I love her dearly. And she got me through my 30s and into my 40s. And she taught me how to spin yarn on a spinning wheel. She taught me all kinds of things. I love this woman very much and was kind of a surrogate grandmother to my kids. And anyway, when I would go to her house, if something fell off a shelf or a glass broke, she'd say, "Oh no, Satan, I just get another blessing today." She was very Christian. And loved the fact that I did astrology. She's one of those people that is a great example of her faith, because she just loves. She's love in a 5-foot body. And that's kind of where I was going with it. I was like, okay, I've got all these obstacles. It's been hot. I've been uncomfortable. I've been plodding through. I've been doing the best I can. I can't get that many videos done because it's hot outside. It's hot inside. I look like shit. My website just got destroyed. At least they didn't screw up the functionality. Well, they kind of did. They put a button on the front page that went to nowhere. That was cute. And so I reminded myself that something good is coming. And that helped. That helped a lot. That took me out of a full-blown tirade as I was crying to my best friend, Kirsten, on the phone. I was like, yeah, I don't have time for this. And she was like, you have every right to be angry. I love you. Because that's what we do for each other. And then I went, wait, something good is coming. I know it's got to be coming. This week has been a shit show. And she's like, yeah, I know how you work. If it's like this, man, the last time something really good happened. I'm like, yeah, something good is coming. So just understand that things cycle. Astrology is about cycles. Life is about cycles. It's not always going to be shitty. Things swing to the other direction, and it doesn't always have to swing back hard. And I am going to say, for the record, I'm really glad that was my shitty day, because it used to be. My problems were far worse. In fact, I was reminded of that last night because I was checking out one of the links on my website. And it goes to somewhere else. It goes to Hey Hero. And I don't know if you guys know what Hey Hero is, but it's a platform where experts give advice. And I was invited by them to be an expert on their platform. And as I was checking the link to see, okay, is that link working? I got a 502 gateway error. And I started to chuckle and I went, oh, those poor dumb bastards. I know exactly what that error means. And years ago, when I was launching the Crochet Liberation Front's membership site that I had spent 6 months building, 6 months. This is before membership sites were a big deal. This was like 2010. I had spent 6 months building the site, blood, sweat, and tears, called my host for my website and said, hey, do I need dedicated hosting? I've got a message board with 10,000 people. People are excited to join. The minute I send this email out, people are going to rush to the site. Do I have enough bandwidth on this server? They're like, oh, you probably won't get that many people. You're fine. I should not let them mansplain me, was the lesson. Well, it wasn't fine. 800 people showed up all at the same time, and my server crashed. My site crashed. It crashed. I couldn't get into the back end. I couldn't fix anything. There was nothing I could do. I literally threw up over this. I mean, imagine. So yesterday wasn't so bad. I could at least fix my site myself. And that 502 gateway error reminded me of that my problem, as much as it pissed me off, wasn't that big a deal because I could fix it. It's not life or death. And I'm good at fixing it. I'm good at doing websites. And I just wanted something off my plate. So in the future, my decision was, actually all I've needed help with was making graphics, and I can hire within my own community for that. I am not going to hire one more professional outside of my own community. I will only hire within my community. So keep that in mind, guys. If you've got skills, and I start asking, don't be afraid to pitch yourself, because I'm going to support the people in my community. You support me, I'm going to support you. That's how we collaborate. That's how we play. That's how we communicate. That's how we build forward. That's how we make cooperation. And that is the energy we need to have formed before Pluto hits Aquarius in 2024. So let's talk a little bit more about Mercury Retrograde. Mercury Retrograde is small things. It's not big things. When people say, but the worst day of my life happened during a Mercury Retrograde. What else was happening that day? What other transits were going on? Mercury Retrograde exacerbated conditions, but it didn't cause them. Okay? There are other things going on in the sky. There are so many gears working on the cosmic clock that you cannot attribute just one thing happening. That's why I gave the astro alert for the moon in Libra when it was squaring off with Pluto, because it was also trining Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius. It was unfettered energy. And I'll argue yesterday had a lot more to do with Venus ingressing out of that trine into Scorpio than it did Mercury retrograde. So, because it just unleashed a lot of energy, and that energy happened on the design of my site. God, God, those buttons were awful. They put buttons to nowhere. And it was at the top of the page. I mean, it wasn't even design. It wasn't even design. It was just, oh my God. Design best practices is what I mean. It just, oh my God. It was awful. So I fixed it. It's all fixed now. It's all pretty now. I want to thank the members I invited to be on Zoom with me. These are all people I work with. And appreciate their help for sitting with me. Chris and Carrie and Casey, thanks for your input. And I realized, you know what? Next time I'm just going to do a work party. I'll just have people on telling me what they think and what looks good. It helps to have other eyes on things. That's how we get through these times, guys. Community. It's everything. Community. And that is how I soothed my moon. My moon in Libra. My moon in Libra is in the 11th house. And she needs community the way fish need water. Water needs fish. Well, water does need fish, but fish need water. And so it was very helpful to have people come together. And even as they talked amongst themselves and I worked, that pleased me to hear them getting along and talking. And it's a soothing thing. So that's important too. So Mercury retrograde will start September 27th. It is not retrograde until it's retrograde. In fact, it stations retrograde on the 27th. So that day is going to be a shit show. Because it's when it stations that is the biggest part of the energy. So make sure you have anything done before then that you need to have done. Any paperwork, anything. It's also, Mercury retrograde is also a great time to rectify any problems you've had with paperwork, with things. It's not a great time to get anything new started. I do find it interesting. People say don't have surgery during Mercury retrograde. That's a new one to me. Years ago, nobody said that. Years ago, people would be like, hey, careful with your car, careful with your communications, careful with your tech, especially your phones, your phone lines, your computers. It's usually don't send that email. It's small things. It's not the big things. Jupiter retrograde and Saturn retrograde are the big stuff. That's niggly. That's beyond niggly. That's big stuff. So I've had car issues. I've had all kinds of things that are a little bigger than Mercury retrograde. They'll probably all resolve during Mercury retrograde at this point, the way things are going. So that's what we've got going on. So I think it's time for a patron shout out. I love my patrons. I love my patrons. I love my patrons. I love my patrons. You guys are amazing. That Discord server is hopping. I love it when I give an astrology alert and the news headlines just like pop off. You guys just start putting in the headlines and the predictions I made and proving out what I've been saying. It's a trip. I love it. So let's get to Patreon. All right. So what do we got here? We've got Megan, we've got Kim, we've got RBF champion, Shelly, Tanya, Laura, EMP, ZDZ, Tiffany Lee, Emily, Christine, Emma, Adam, Christina, Lizzie, Catherine, Allie, Oriana, Neff, Barbara, Leilani, Bryce, Shane, Cindy, Claire, Michelle, Adrian, Tara, Kate, Jenny, Taryn, Stephanie, Eileen, Tatiana, Killip, Carol, Anna Carey, Nicole, Molly, Big, Cutie, In and Outie, Shelby, Irene, Lexi, McKenna, Heather. Those are my shout outs from there. Discord is again hopping. I want to say a big thanks to let me take a look at what's going on. It's PB Gelatime, Scorpio 78. Let's see, we've got Ritvisa, Ritvse, Mom Star, Elemental Artist. We've got all of you guys very, very active. Sarah Bear, Sister Luck, Dusty, Shaded JLo, Absolute. All of you guys. I love how you guys come together. We've got a ton of fun happening in there. We've got the general, we've got horoscope discussion, awakening chat, social off topic, Astro classroom fun, which I haven't done anything in there in a while. We'll have to. We've got some chats happening though. Astrology memes. We've got the content suggestions as well, where you guys can make requests. We've got the pet astrology, astro, crypto chat, news headlines, mutual aid, arts and crafters, introductions, Sunday link up days where people can link to what they do. We've got a lot happens in that Discord, and it's become quite a community. I love that people are making friends and connecting. Jump on in if you're not there. Okay? This idea that you don't belong, it's not true. Okay? When you're like, well, I don't really belong anywhere. Well, that's because you believe that. So you're going to come in defensive. You're not going to connect with people. You need to do that. Connect with people. Come on in. The water's fine. I don't let people get bullied on my time. Oop. And been missing Magic. She's off at a retreat. So give a big shout out to Kelly, who is Magic, because she is. So I'm going to talk a little bit here about the astrology coming up, because we've got big stuff on the way. We're kind of in a pause. If you think things are wild now, get ready. So we have Mercury Retrograde. Actually, before Mercury Retrograde, Mars will ingress into Libra. Expect a lot of social action to happen. A lot of astrologers going to keep talking about romance, and I'm going to tell you, we're going to have some real big social movements going. I mean, it's effectively, I saw one creator on TikTok say, we need to all pull together and unify, because basically it's about basic freaking human rights, and people are just demanding basic human rights. So we're going to see that. We're going to see more labor movement action. I think we're going to see a lot out of the healthcare sector, and we're going to see a lot out of teachers. Teachers are also being put at risk right now. So we've got that. And then there's Mercury Retrograde. And if you go back in Patreon or on my website, you're going to see the September astrology. And then we have October. And October is big. It is huge. October, we have first Saturn, then Pluto, then Jupiter, station direct. This is huge energy. It's swinging us forward. And, I pretty much expect all hell to break loose. It's going to be nuts. It's a lot. And it's a lot when it comes to weather. It's a lot when it comes to social issues. Like I said, expect supply chain disruptions. If you haven't been preparing for that, get prepared now. September 18th, I'm going to be offering a 2-hour seminar on how to prepare. Okay. I'm going to talk about the astrology coming up and what you can do to get ready. And so it's $122, but as of today, I'm releasing a very special discount for absolutely everybody. Absolutely everybody. It's $75 off any of my readings or seminars, which the only seminar I have coming up is the How to Prepare for the end of 2021. And so there's a lot from now through October. I mean, not just October, now through the end of 2021. It is a lot of energy. And I'd love to tell you everything works out fine in 2022, but it's its own game. It's its own game. And I'll touch on that a little bit in that seminar. You'll be able to ask me questions. You'll be able to get really important astrological information. And if you use your $75 off, it's a very affordable 2-hour workshop, seminar. Call it what it will. I'll probably talk, ask questions, answer questions. That's usually how it goes. It'll be on Zoom because that's how I do everything. And so having your $75 off coupon, and you can use that for any reading as well. Now that coupon is only good for 2 weeks. So it's only good for 2 weeks as of yesterday. So we'll get that out there. Use the code Cosmic Savings. And I'll put that in the description of this podcast. And I'll announce this on Patreon first, because you guys get the podcast first, because you support the podcast. You really want to get ready now. And people are like, how do I get ready? Well, make sure you have the food you like to eat, first of all. I would have food that's easily prepared. I'd have some extra water. I would make sure you've had batteries, and especially if you're east of the Rockies, east of the Rocky Mountains. That's the Midwest, the upper Midwest, the Southwest, through to the East Coast, Northeast, all the way down to Florida, guys. The whole of east of the Rockies is going to have shitty weather. The Pacific Northwest is going to probably be wet, not as wet as during an El Nino. South of Portland might be drier. Maybe south of Eugene will be drier. But we might be looking at communication snafus, all kinds of things. So there's stuff on the way, and I'll talk more about that there. But rest assured, it's not Mercury Retrograde until it's Mercury Retrograde. And that pre-shadow thing, I don't know when it started or how it started. I don't know. You don't have a pre-shadow. I don't get why people say that. It makes no astrological sense. Astrology is about math. It's about precision. We use our intuition only, and I mean only, to kind of tune in to how a client expresses the energy of the stuff going on in their chart. But at the same time, everybody makes, in the last 20 years online, more and more shit's come up because people want to believe an expert. And yeah, that pre-shadow thing. I'm not down with it. I'll talk about it, but astrologically, if you're a real astrologer, it's not a thing. Anyway, I got to go to readings now. Thank you much. And use that code, guys. It works on any reading. Gives you a big savings. And I will see you on TikTok.